Good morning, welcome to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you content surrounding childhood sexual abuse. I am a survivor myself, and on this channel I share my experiences, things that I found helpful, things that I found hard, things that helped me to recover from going through childhood sexual abuse, in hopes of encouraging other survivors, raising awareness of sexual abuse and educating people on what sexual abuse is about. I also share news stories and other survivors' stories through interviews. So if this is the type of content that you are looking for, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. So unless you've been living under a rock or you don't have social media, yesterday a story blew up all over social media about an attempted abduction of an 11-year-old girl. This 11-year-old girl was walking on her way to school around 7 a.m. in the morning in Mitcham in Croydon, or Mitcham, London, and you can clearly see on CCTV somebody attempt to abduct her. He managed to make her walk away from where she was going and guided her to an alleyway where he allegedly raped her. And I have to say allegedly, even though from the footage you can clearly see that he has done something very untoward towards this girl, but he has been caught. Besides the outrage and disgust at seeing that footage, and if it wasn't for this young lady, I think her sister, who's around the same age as the young girl, noticed that something was wrong. And she alerted her sister, and then I think the sister got her mother, and then they followed this man with this girl, and she was asking the girl questions. Are you all right? Do you know this man? And in the end, she ended up saying something to this young woman. So, you know, a great big thank you to that young woman for her courage and bravery in being bold enough to follow the man and, you know, ask these questions, because who knows what would have happened if she didn't take action. My heart goes out to this little girl, because as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, it is something that is very, very hard to recover from. And as somebody who has supported survivors for the last 10 years with my organisation Daughter Arise, the longer something like this is left, is the harder it is to deal with. With the right therapy, with a good support network around this little girl, she will be able to, in some part, move on from this experience. It's really important that she is given all the help she needs, access to therapy, space to talk, space not to talk, and just be supported on her journey. So besides the obvious outrage, which is understandable given the circumstances, the boldness of which this man has, in broad daylight, decided to try and abduct somebody's child and sexually assault them, there are other things in this story that I want to pick out from it to share with you. As shocking as it is, stranger danger sexual abuse makes up less than 10% of child sexual abuse. The dirty man in the rain mat hiding in the bushes, or this unknown stranger, is actually a really small percentage of cases where children are sexually assaulted or abducted and raped off the street. The other 90% is child sexual abuse that happens within the child's family or social circle. The statistics of this have been recorded time and time again and consistently show that 90% of sexual abuse is committed by someone the child knows, loves or trusts. That could be a mum, a dad, a stepdad, a cousin, a parent, a sibling, a cousin, a pastor in the church, brownie leader, cub leader, after school club coach. It is someone in the child's social circle. The other thing I want to pick out from this story is the fact that the perpetrator, the paedophile in this case, was a black man. And the reason why this is important is because on many videos I have done, if you look back over my channel, you see that I have talked about the problem with child sexual abuse in the black community. A lot of people, especially black people, don't believe that black men can be capable of such acts, and it's the elephant in the room in the black community. And when I did this panel discussion, that was one of the things that we discussed. You can check out the video, I leave a link to it at the top of this one. But the panel discussion in part was about breaking down this myth that black men don't do paedophilia, but they do. And I wouldn't say that the only good thing that can come out of this story, because obviously nothing good can come out of it when you have an 11-year-old girl who is clearly terrified, being abducted off the streets and raped by somebody. You can't say that that is a good thing. But the only positive thing that we can take away from this story is that now it can highlight to people that black men are capable of doing these acts. It's very easy to always be believing that white people engage in this depraved, disgusting behaviour, but also black people do as well. I have been supporting survivors of all races for a decade. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, people from different backgrounds, male and female, who in their childhood went through childhood sexual abuse. And a lot of them who have gone through it in black families have never been able to get the support that they need. Often when they talk to their families or try and open up about it, that somebody within the family circle has done this to them, they're stigmatized, they're shut down, they're ostracized from their families and rejected and called liars. I hope from this story that people's eyes will be opened to the fact that all people commit child sexual abuse, and that it's not specific only to one race, meaning that it's a white people problem, it's only white people that do it. No, there are black paedophiles. I was a victim of a black paedophile. Other people who I know, my brothers and sisters of the same race, have been victims of black paedophiles. So I hope that it will start to open up people's minds to the fact that, these things are happening. Another thing I want to pick out from this story is that it's now come to light that Kadian Nelson in 2016 had done something similar before. Now, it is important to understand that paedophiles do not just change their behaviour. It's very rare for them to open up and admit what they've done, because their nature is to lie. Even when they're caught, they will lie, or they will try and blame the victim. They don't just change their behaviour. People don't just pick up themselves and decide, I'm going to go and sexually abuse a child, or I'm going to grab a child off the streets. It doesn't happen like that. They have to have the notion within them that they want to do this. They have to have the desire. They have to overcome internal inhibitions, because usually internal inhibitions will say, it's wrong. It's wrong to feel like this. I feel disgusted that I feel like this towards a child. Once they can overcome that internal inhibition and reason away within themselves that, there's nothing really wrong with sexually abusing a child, they will then manipulate a scenario where they can sexually abuse a child. Because they've overcome that internal inhibition, now they just need a situation to set up to do that. This is something that has been researched by some of the world's top child sexual abuse experts. This is something that David Finkelhor has talked about extensively, the 4 steps that a paedophile has to go through in order to commit the act of sexual abuse. It's not just a random act. I read somewhere that he had spells in Springfield. I am not really going to get into the whole thing about mental health and why he did it because of mental health. No, because it is still a choice for somebody to do what they have done. And I knew people who had gone through sexual abuse that did decide to do that. I mean, there was one particular person in a kids' home that I was in, and the Sun newspaper found out what he had done, and they had to move him out for his own safety. So there are people who will make the decision whether to act upon these desires, and there are people who don't act upon these desires. So my question is, why was this man allowed to be in an open community knowing he had formed for it before? We don't know the details of what age the person was, but he has formed for indecent assault before. Why was he allowed to be out in the community? That is a question that I have, and I hope this information does come out in time. I sincerely hope and pray that this young girl gets the help that she needs. It's going to be a very, very hard few months for her, and I pray that her and her family have all the support on hand to get through this. But, these are things that we can learn and pick out from this story. It's very unfortunate what's happened to this young girl, and I will be praying for her.